This is the third video in a series of 3 videos in which we cover the virtual EMS scheduling system. This is meant for employees and students of Beta Knot Community College. So once you're logged in to the virtual EMS system, under My Account Login, you now have a set of templates available to you. And depending on who you are, you'll have different templates available. So in this case, I'm going to see a lot more templates than you might see. But we're going to use the Schedule Space non-ITV template for this example. This would be any space that I want to schedule that does not have ITV associated with it. It also does not include scheduling the Catherine Boniface boardroom or the 908 computer labs in the Student Computing Center. Those all require special scheduling needs and have their own templates associated with them. So let's go ahead and schedule space that is non-ITV. So when I go into that template, I'm presented with a fairly simple interface in which I have to enter some basic information, which is my time and date of my event, and I also need to include the attendance that's going, how many people will be attending my event. So let's get started by entering a date, and I'm just going to randomly choose a date, and I'm going to choose a start time. I'll say my event's going to take place at 2 p.m. Automatically fills in an hour for me. This is something to be cautious about. Under here where it says facilities, mine says my favorites. Typically this would say all buildings, but you can actually narrow it down. If you know you want your event to take place in, say, the University Center, you would choose that building. But you can also just have it default to all, which will look through all the buildings available and find the space that you can use for your event or for your meeting. If you have my favorites selected, and the reason I caution you here is, for instance, my favorites only contains one building. So when I have my favorites selected and I go to search, I am always going to get returned the exact same building. So just be careful there. Alright, so time zone is required, but it will automatically fill in depending on who you are and which time zone you're associated with. But you can always change it if you'd like to. I'm going to select 5 people to come to my event, and if I wanted to, I could actually click Find Attend. I could put in the name of the attendee that I want to invite. Let's say that I want to invite Laura Coleman to my my meeting. Well, when I type Coleman and I click the magnifying glass, it will produce all of our returns that are in our global address list. So this would be students, this would be employees, and so forth. Now notice Laura Coleman for me shows up several times. I know this is the one that I want to choose because it has her job title associated with it. But I also have her in my personal address book in many different ways, and that's why I'm seeing multiple versions of this. So normally you will just see one person returned, one line per person, but just be careful if you have more than one returned. It just means you have them in your personal address book as well. So this would be our global address book, and it would be what you'd want to use. So I've invited Laura Coleman to my meeting, and I'm going to search. I don't have to use these availability filters, but if you know there's something in a room that you specifically need, this is a good way to narrow those rooms down. So I'm going to say that I want to find a room that has windows that I cannot open, and I also want to make sure that it has, say, a ceiling mounted projector because I'm going to attach a laptop to do a presentation. Now when I click Find Space, it will go out and find all the rooms that are available to me with those filters or those features having been filtered. Now I want to show you what will happen if I turn those features off and you see what is returned without those features on. Notice I get a much larger group of rooms that are provided to me. Now, it's up to you how you decide you want to narrow things down. You could do this and then you can look to see out of these rooms what are available, or you could specify what you need and then narrow it down from there. So that's what I've done here. And I can see that room 963 is available. Actually, all the rooms are available during the time that I have selected. So I have selected to have my event take place between 2 and 3 p.m. on the 17th. So between 2 and 3, all these rooms are available. And I'm going to go ahead and choose that I want room 961 to hold my meeting. So I click the little plus and it puts it up into my selected locations. And now when I click on I have read and agree to terms, you can view them if you would like to here. I just click continue and I will move from the location tab to the details tab. On the details tab I have some other required information. For instance, I need an event name. So I'm just going to meeting with Laura Coleman. And I'm going to select the event type as a meeting. Notice that it pre-filled in my calendaring details. You can change that if you would like. And it set the show time, which would be how it shows in your calendar, as busy. You can change this to tentative or free. Typically people would have this as busy. You can also set a reminder. So I'm going to set a reminder that 30 minutes prior to this event, we are both reminded that we have this meeting. And I'm going to put a small message which will end up in the calendar message part of this event. This is for us to talk about cool things. Okay, so now that I have my event details and my calendaring details, notice that your user and group details are pre-filled in. This will always happen, but you can choose to put a temporary contact. So if I did want to change this, I would click on temporary contact and then I would put in the information for that temporary contact. But I'm just going to leave myself as the person who created this event. I can attach a file to this event, and at this point the attach file is different than this attach file. The attach file up here would simply be adding it to that person's calendar, and so it would be an attached file that would be, say, an agenda for the meeting, or maybe some previous meeting minutes or something like that. This attach file attaches whatever file it is to the actual reservation. So typically this is used when you are when you have a setup that is complicated and you've maybe drawn your setup on paper and you want to scan that and attach it so that the person doing the setup can see your map that you've drawn. Then also we have some additional resources. Now you don't have to select any of this. You could be done at this point. But let's say that I did want to add some additional features. Like let's say that I want to add a conference phone. So if I click on the audio equipment and microphones, I want to say that I'm going to have a speakerphone or a conference phone that's going to be delivered to that room. Notice when you do this, you'll see a price. As an internal customer, internal employee or student, you will not be charged this price. This is by default in the system, but it's only charged to our business and industry customers or our nonprofit customers at a discount. Our employees and our students would get a 100% discount. So you do not have to worry about any of the prices that you see. So once you've added any additional resources that you want, if you wanted to have catering delivered, you could also do that. And I think I'll go ahead and do a little bit of catering. So maybe I'm going to have at say, I'll say at 1:30 I would like to have my something delivered that we can snack on while we're having our meeting. And I'll say that the end time is going to be at the end of the meeting, so that's when they would come and pick things up. And I'll say that these are snacks. The estimated count, actually the estimated count is going to be 5, because it's not just Laura that I'm inviting others, but I just didn't include them in my invite list. But I can invite them later. So I'm going to come down to some appetizers, and let's say that I'm going to have a small appetizer tray delivered, and I just want one of those, and I just want that to be cheese and crackers. So I've added everything that I need. I don't need any additional furniture, and I don't need an iClicker, so maybe I have some setup notes. And in this case, I can think about the room that I'm going to be creating this meeting in, or having this meeting in, and I think I would like to have a U-shaped setup of tables and chairs. So this is just a simple way for the person who's going to be dealing with this setup to know that I just want the chairs moved from their typical layout, which is in rows with chairs, to just having them in a U shape. And at this point, I am done with this event, and I can click submit, and I will submit and I will have made a reservation. In the process of doing this, I have now automatically sent a message to Laura Coleman. She will receive this message in her Outlook calendar. I've also automatically sent a message to the caterers to deliver the tray of food, and I have also automatically sent a message to our AV specialist to have the conference phone delivered. So everything is rolled into one package. Now that I have my meeting set up, if I wanted to come in here and actually do an edit of this, I could easily do that. I can edit my reservation from here, which would be potentially changing the name or contact information. I can also manage my attendees, so I can invite additional attendees at this point. I can also change my services or cancel my services. So if I decide that I don't want my catering, I would just click on the cancel service, choose the catering, because I have 3 different services set up, and then I would just click that I want to cancel, and I would save that. My services will have been canceled.